What's going on, everybody? It's your man Chuck Creekmur, aka Jigsaw. We are here at AllHipHop.com. We have a special guest, Annimeanz. What's going on, my brother?
Hey man, how you doing, man? Thank you for having me. It's definitely an honor, bro. I've been knowing about the site for years. You know, y'all one of the biggest outlets out there, so I definitely appreciate this opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thanks for coming on the platform, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tim Sanchez, one of our former writers who's doing big things out there. He's always been doing big things on the West Coast, but in a different way now. So he connected us.
Yeah, nah, it's dope too, man. Cause Tim, you know, he's really a staple in West Coast hip hop, believe it or not, for the last 20 years, maybe even 30 years.
Yeah.
Not 20 years, honestly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had a huge part to play in that New West movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Glasses, Kendrick, J Rock. I just feel like he don't get no recognition. I think he should definitely be a little bit more acknowledged than he is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I'm gonna holler at him because I think that there's something to be done.
Yeah.
Working together. So I'm gonna holler at him for sure. But tell people. Well, first of all, before we jump into some of the more bigger details, talk to me about your name. I know what it represents, but what made you pick that name? It reminds me of Malcolm X because one of my heroes. Yeah.
I was incarcerated when I came up with the name, and it was just something that stood out to me, and it just represents success by any measure. You know what I mean? And that's why, from the type of lifestyle that I've lived throughout my life, I felt like it fit me perfect because I've definitely had to overcome by all means at some point in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt. And you're from a specific area in Los Angeles. Talk about your area and how do you even pronounce that? Because I'm not even sure. I don't want to mispronounce it.
It's called Cudahy.
Cudahy. Okay, got you.
Cudahy is in South Los Angeles. It's about a 4-mile city.
Okay.
And it's real popular in that area because where Cudahy is, right to the right of it is Watts, and if you keep going about 5 miles down, it's Compton.
Okay.
And it's in between a city called Southgate and Bow. So it's just a very small community. But it's always been popular for narcotics.
Okay.
And gangs. And
yeah,
a couple years back there was a big stink in the local government there because they were taking away money. They were embezzling money from the city, and at one point Cudahy was the second dangerous city in the nation.
Wow. Oh,
so actually the second poorest city in the nation, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand, so.
Yeah.
Now, when you were coming up, what was it like? I mean, I don't know your age or anything, but I would imagine you were around in the 80s and whatnot,
90s. I grew up
90s. Okay.
And it was gang infested there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was crack cocaine infested. It was heroin infested. And then like I said, because of the reputation it has for narcotics, it just every narcotic that was something major, it graduated to that narcotic. So at some point, crack stopped being relevant and methamphetamine started being relevant.
Oh man.
It's just I came up like that. I came up hard. You know what I mean? I started learning how to cook rock when I was 11. I started actually selling rock when I was 12. Till I started going to jail after a while. But I, that's just how I came up, bro. My father was in prison 95% of my life. My mom's was, even though she is a Christian woman now and very strong in her faith and a very blessed woman, she started off hard too. She was had a drug addiction and just a lot of memories that are still kind of hit hard when you start to really think about them in the depth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
definitely. Now, are you guys being gentrified there now, or is it holding it down?
No, it's not gentrified because we're a sanctuary city for illegal immigrants.
Oh, okay.
So sanctuary means that the immigration department and ICE can't go in there and just snatch people up. because it's a
Wow.
sanctuary for illegal immigrants.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's that's why it's so poverty stricken, because of the illegal migration there.
Yeah.
And obviously people that are coming from nothing have to figure out how to create something. So that's just hand in hand with drugs and narcotics and everything else. And it's not that the people are bad. It's just that there's really no other way to go.
Yeah.
And how to survive at times, So
yeah. That's crazy. Now you have Cut Ahead Dope Boys Volume 3
yes.
that you recently dropped. Talk about this project. What's the some of the key differences from the other installments and this as an overall body of work for you?
This body of work is different for me because Dope Boy 3 is very, very much more political than anything I've ever put out.
Okay.
I've had a lot of controversy because I was a Trump supporter. I did support Trump.
Oh, you did? What?
Yeah.
Talk. Okay.
I did support Trump. I'm open about it. And the reason why I supported Trump is because I feel that every issue that we have in this country is due to the economic situation that this country is in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I always use these cities as examples because these are prime examples. You have Chicago that's almost operating in a third world fashion at this point when it comes to gangs, narcotics, and the murders and the killings that are happening.
Right.
Detroit is so poverty stricken that people are hiring private police forces to protect them now because the actual police force is just so overrun and just rampant with corruption and just honestly can't handle what's going on down there because the influx of narcotics and weaponry that's coming over, that's being brought here by the cartels. Because these cities like Chicago, cities like Detroit are stronghold cities for cartel narcotics. And what's going to come with cartel narcotics? Cartel weaponry and finance to buy that weaponry. And with that happening, that's overthrowing law enforcement. That's creating massive wars between gangs because they're fighting for territories and economic, control there. It's just so much shit. And, a lot of things, Trump was for a better economy in this country. That's all he was for. People don't realize Trump is not a politician. He's becoming a politician now, but we're talking about a philanthropist, man that's been a millionaire his whole life dealing with corporations. Right. Now, I know people are going to say, well, what about the businesses that went out of businesses that he was in? I mean, nothing lasts forever here, bro.
Right, right.
Something's going to prosper for X amount of time. At some point, it's going to fall off. It's just human nature, and it's natural. Point being is people don't understand he stepped into this country to run it like a corporation. What happens when one company takes over another corporation? They immediately start making budget cuts because obviously the company is on a negative and it's falling down. That's exactly what's happening in this country. Our economic system is in shambles. We're borderline. We just walked out of a 15-year war to jump into the type of economy that we have. I'm not against immigration. I believe if you need to come here for freedom, then you should be allowed to come here. But at the same time, when do we replenish our resources? When do we start to build our economy to where we can afford to take these immigrants that have no other place to go? And that's all that Donald Trump was saying, is that we need to rebuild and replenish what we've already lost. We just walked out of a 15-year war that we really didn't have no reason to be there. And how many millions and millions of dollars did we throw into that country and throw into that war? Right. Yeah. Then you come back home and we have all these people trying to come here for freedom and a better life. And they deserve that and they need to come here. But what happens when they come to somewhere that's just as bad as where they're coming from?
Right.
And that's eventually going to happen if we don't build our economy and become stronger and become that number one nation that we have been.
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago, China could never rival us in anything. But yet now there are direct competition and a direct threat to our way of life. And why is that? Because the type of agreements that people like Joe Biden and Obama made, and the way they took the jobs away from our middle America, and especially why places like Detroit, etc., are not able to exist and live prosperously right now, because all our work was outsourced to a whole nother country.
So are you still a Trump supporter, or are you now, have you jumped ship? Are you still down with the team Trump?
I mean, obviously he's not in office now, so I mean there's no reason to say I'm a Trump supporter, but I definitely believe Trump 2024. You feel what I'm saying?
Oh, he'll be back. I mean, he's not going.
He's coming back, and I want to say that when he comes back, mark my words, his reception will be a lot different, because look at what's going on under Joe Biden's law right now.
What would you say is going down with Joe Biden?
I mean, Mexican children are still in cages.
Mm-hmm. It's changed for us.
Problem.
Yeah, but that's an American problem. That's so that's not necessarily Trump versus Biden, but America itself.
Well, it's a problem, and you know what? You're right. You know why that is a problem? Because we didn't put somebody competent in there enough to fix that problem. Don't just get one person out of there because you don't like the way he talks or you don't believe in his ideologies, and you go put some stupid motherfucker in there just because you didn't like the first person.
But Trump's attitudes towards brown people and black people didn't bother you? Those comments don't turn you off enough to not vote for him? Because, a lot of us, even if you may have agreed with some of the things he said or his policies, him as a human being was quite vile on so many levels. Not just that, but his attitudes towards women, Islamic people, and so many checkpoints there.
Well, see, this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize, and this is public knowledge, so you can research it. When they had his impeachment trial, this last one, they actually presented all the evidence, and a lot of the derogatory shit that was being said was part of a greater conversation that the media cut short and only I spotlighted, if he said some weird shit. You feel what I'm saying? But never actually spotlighted the whole conversation where he was able to actually articulate what he was saying, etc., etc. There was a lot of, and that's not a conspiracy theory. You can go and you can do your research on the impeachment trial, and you'll see exhibit after exhibit and examples of how the media cut him from certain speeches, etc., etc.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a fan at all. In fact, I think he's pretty vile as a person. So I can't have that type of individual as my president. Joe Biden has a history as well. I noticed that on the album, actually, because I was like, wow, he said something about Biden and Kamala Harris, but that was all I heard. I didn't hear a lot else. I heard you talk about being politically correct and so on and so forth, but not.
There was a part where I mentioned Joe Biden more than once on the album.
Okay.
I talked about what was that one where I said government in shambles, Joe Biden rambles. The part I talked about Kamala Harris. I feel like, there's so many red flags about her. And it was broadcasted on national television, her hypocrisy. On just a year previous, she called Joe Biden a racist. And then a year later, she's his running mate.
Yeah.
You can do the math on her when she was a district attorney in the 90s, and she played a huge part in the 3-strike law that took almost 30 years to actually fix. And Joe Biden was the initiator of that law. So we're talking about a 30-year law that only affected Mexicans and black people, and essentially gave these people multiple upon thousands of man years in prison over crimes that are not even crimes at this point, that are broken down to misdemeanors. They were very instrumental in a very, very dark time in American history when it comes to minorities. But yet these are the same people that we put in charge of this country.
But see, to me, that's a systemic problem. And so you could just cite Ronald Reagan as, Ronald Reagan, Nixon, I mean, Bush, all of them are in the same system. So they're all working in tandem in a systemic way. So I never rocked with Trump because as a person, I just didn't like him. But systemically, he did his job well. He helped ignite a side of America that was kind of quiet and dormant. And now that side is bum rushing the Capitol. You got guys picking on little kids out in South Carolina. I mean, the kid was a man, but he was so small. He could have been a boy. You know what I mean? So these things. So when I was growing up, the bullies didn't even act like that. And if they did, you squared up. You didn't think you were going to get killed. You didn't feel you were going to get, you thought you could just square up. And I know things have changed. So I'm not saying that we're going to be stuck in the 90s or 80s even with the way people handle themselves. But, just put it like this.
I feel like a lot of what's going on is because of the way that we're allowing this country to be molded. A lot of the original manly values that we've grown up with are completely out the door at this point. At what point don't we identify that as a legitimate problem? There's actually talks of people calling babies now because they don't even want to identify their sexual origin.
Calling them what?
Babies. This is something real too. There's some law or there's something that they're trying to pass where they call newborn babies because they don't want to identify their sexuality until they're old enough to figure out if they're gay or not.
Right.
The transgender woman is running she's in power in Congress now. I have no problem with that, with people that live that type of lifestyle, but it's like I can turn on the TV and watch two men kissing now. I have an 11-year-old son and a 4-year-old son.
Right.
My 11-year-old son is learning about homosexuality in his school now.
Right.
At some point, I have no problem with homosexual lifestyle, but at some point, when do we say, hold up, we don't promote this lifestyle to children that are very, very...
Can't hear you.
Influenced by these type of actions and what's going on here.
Right.
If you're gay and you choose to live that lifestyle, that's totally your life, your everything.
Right.
I only have a problem when you're advertising it to young children and people that are impressionable are starting to learn about these things before they even learn about themselves.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have, and that's what's going on in this country.
Right.
You can't even tell somebody your opinion, or I can't even ask you politely to get the fuck off my lawn, because there's going to be somebody there with a camera making it look like I'm a racist or I'm a bully or something like that. There's no room for us to stand our ground no longer. And why is that?
I wouldn't blame Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I think there's other forces at work. And furthermore, I think that America's changed. America's changing, and it's not the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, or the 80s anymore. And I think that we have to come to terms with that. And a lot of these groups, and I'm not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with you, but just to say that things have changed. And you have to, if you're a parent, I'm a parent too. You have to parent differently regarding what they're taking in. Sometimes you have to watch it with them, have that conversation while things are happening, or you just have to turn that device or thing off. And I mean that only goes that only goes so far, because obviously if you have a phone, then that's an access point to just anything almost. But I think the genie's out the bottle, you know, and so if we're looking to and honestly, man, from a standpoint of not Trump, but yeah, Trump. I use Trump. I don't think Trump has any love for you per se. You know what I mean? Or I know he doesn't love me. You know what I mean? So
I don't. Okay, when we use the word love, I think love is so generalized and commercialized, right?
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell you, Donald Trump don't give two fucks about me. But what I can say about Donald Trump is fair. Donald Trump was the first person that I've ever heard in this whole time that I've been alive that ever spoke on giving black people anything in the name of reparations. Anything, period.
When did he do that? And what? When did it hit the Senate floor?
I mean, if he would have continued his presidency, I guarantee you the platinum plan would have went into motion. I guarantee you that, because everything that Donald Trump said that he wanted to do, he actually did it. That's something that we cannot.
The wall never made it. That wall never happened.
I mean, he did put up the wall.
He didn't finish.
He only had 4 years.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm playing with you, man. But no, the platinum plan was, you know, as a black person, even the name, I'm just like, come on, B. Really, we calling it a platinum plan, like right off the rip. I'm like, come on, man. Like you couldn't call it something else, you know. Even Ice Cube had contract with Black America, you know. So I ain't trying to, you know.
I feel like that's a little petty, but I get it though.
No, it's not petty, man. That's disrespect, man. That's that sneak talk. That's when you talk slick and you say, yo, watch this, man. We're gonna call it the platinum plan, man. watch what happens. You know, and even if they created it, then we running around talking about a platinum plan, even if it was legitimate, which I don't think it was. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have to talk about Trump or Biden too much. You know, I actually, you know, this is your introduction to this audience, all hip hop. So let's talk hip hop, man, because you know, we could go all day with the politics, man, and that's not to discount what you're saying, because I think it would be interesting to have this conversation in a panel setting or you know, with a variety of voices so that we could go back and forth legitimately. And I'll moderate that, by the way. I'm a great moderator.
You know, it's funny because I know a lot of, you know, I know a lot of my colleagues that are black rappers that actually were for Trump.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for whatever reasons, they didn't want to voice it. And and when you look at the statistics on voting day, the largest amount of black males went out and voted for Trump in the history of voting, if you know that. Same thing with Hispanics. You know, so you gotta kind of ask yourself what's real and what's fake when the polls are showing that X amount of black men are coming out to vote that hardly ever vote, and large amounts of Latinos, or excuse me, Mexicanos, or I guess Latinos too, because we're talking about other people besides Mexicans. And they're coming out in force to support this man.
Right.
So there's always that, you know, what's right and what's wrong. But
well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, my homie Glasses Malone, Trump supporter. You know, we've had this. I've had this.
My mentor right there.
Oh, get out of here! That's my man. You know what I'm saying? So it's no love lost. We just disagree, and that's all good. That's why we're all here in America. You know, we have that right to disagree. Yeah, Glasses is my dude, man.
Yeah. Man, I came up under Glasses. That's where I learned to do everything that I'm doing now. I learned it with him. I was a part of Division for about 5 years. So
okay, that's dope. That's dope. Small world, man. Definitely. Yeah. Small. He's making a lot of money. I'm trying to be a mentee to him too.
Man, I feel that.
Yeah.
Glasses is a good dude, man. Glasses is a very, very he's smart. You know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of, the thing with Glasses is he's a lot smarter than a lot of other people, in my opinion. So sometimes people just don't understand where he's coming from and shit like that. But yeah, man, he's definitely somebody that taught me a whole lot about the music industry, and I've been able to create a career via his teaching. So very appreciative for him and because of him.
What inspired you to start rapping and changing your life around, and from what you were doing previously?
Just wanting to get away from a life that I just been plagued with having for generations. I'm not the first person from the gang where I come from in my family. I'm actually like the 16th member.
Okay.
Because all my aunts, all my uncles, my father, my mother, all my cousins, we all grew up in the same area. We're all from the same neighborhood.
Okay.
So I eventually went to prison for a nice amount of time, and just having to experience that.
Okay.
And knowing what I had to do, knowing what I did for what I did it for to end up in that situation, and then having to experience that situation and what comes with that. Just understanding that type of life is counterproductive, bro. There's no real camaraderie there. There's no real brotherly love there. You may find certain individuals in the gang that you're gonna be strong with and have that tight knit bond, but that isn't for the whole lifestyle in general. The whole lifestyle in general is a very toxic life, and it's a very it's the leading reason of why our neighborhoods are the way they are, and why we're not even taken serious the way we should be, because we're ultimately just constantly killing ourselves and each other when it comes to blacks and Mexicans. Yeah.
How is the relationship between blacks and Mexicans out there? I mean, we're on the East Coast, so we hear a lot of things, and I know that people have been trying to work towards people working together in solidarity for a long time. What's it looking like now?
There's pockets of it, that's good, and then there's pockets where it's bad. LA's a melting pot of a lot of shit. Right. So you can be in one hood where Mexicans and blacks are at war, and then you can go maybe 5 miles down where Mexicans and blacks are coexisting, and they wouldn't have the second notion to fight with. You feel what I'm saying? Like myself, I have my son is half black.
Okay.
My mother's husband is black.
Okay.
I grew up around black people my whole life.
Right.
Even where I come from, there were scrimmages, but it never blew out of control the way it did in some areas.
Yeah.
So it just depends. I think, and I'm gonna speak, if I can, freely about this. I feel like when it comes to the music industry, the relationship between blacks and Mexicans is not equal. If you go get a feature from a black artist in LA, they're gonna charge you. They're gonna charge you the highest possible price they can charge you. But and Mexican artists usually will pay this price, but it's never reciprocated. You'll never see a black artist paying a Mexican artist for anything. You'll never see them putting them on their albums. I could probably name you on my hand the amount of Mexican features black artists in LA have. You feel what I'm saying? There's no real, and in my opinion, from being in this game, it seems like the Mexican artist is always searching and chasing that acceptance from the black artists that we're just not getting. You know what I mean? How many Mexican artists have you interviewed on this platform? I guarantee you can name them, because there's not that many.
I don't know. It's definitely not that many, and I don't claim to know a lot of actual Mexican rappers at all. Really, I know far more Puerto Ricans and than anything, and that could be a coastal thing, to be honest with you.
And to be honest with you, that's almost a travesty, because who do you think is the main consumer of the West Coast market music? Who do you think is a direct we're one of the main forces in this culture. We're one of the main people that you know, we made low riding cool. We made long socks cool. We made tattoos from head down cool. You know, you have black artists that almost mimic Mexicans at this point. Look at YG. You know, look at the songs that they make with the locals and this, that, and the third. Some of them are really derogatory.
Oh yeah.
But yet, you know, there was never any noise made about that.
That's interesting, man. I never even thought of that, to be honest with you. But I do think that LA is a unique in a unique space to for that to be well known, and not exclusively, because I know that back in the day, you know, people like Master Ace, you might not even know who that is, but Master Ace used to had a lowrider movement, you know, kind of back in the day. But I think that might have been after some of the West Coast rappers from, you know, LA and whatnot kind of jumped in, you know what I mean? So I'm not sure.
But we're talking about like the lowrider movement from Chicanos. We're talking about this shit started in the 50s.
Oh yeah, okay.
The most famous boulevard for cruising lowriders is in Whittier Boulevard.
Okay.
Whittier Boulevard is a Mexican neighborhood.
Okay.
Always has been, always will be.
Nice.
You feel what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's so much that we bring to this culture, but we're just not being acknowledged for it.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I think it's time. You know, it's time to hear these stories, because a lot of people don't know. And as you know, as we know with Black culture, it gets co-opted so much that it becomes mainstreamed, and then you forget who did it in the first place first. You know.
Yeah. And you know, like, I don't. This is my thing. I don't think Mexico. We don't want to be held as the people that did it. We just want the acceptance.
Okay.
You know, the Mexican hip hop movement is separate from the mainstream hip hop movement. And that's where the problem is.
Okay. Okay.
You know, and you know, for myself and for my platform, what I've been doing is I'm preaching that, you know, we spend a lot of time trying to get this acceptance from these people that are not necessarily wanting to accept. So it's vital that we start to make our own platforms. We make our own. We, you know, like there's a YouTube channel called Latin Beast that they showcase Mexican hip hop, and it's predominantly Mexican artists on there, which essentially at this point is our world star. Okay. You know, you have other outlets like the Rhodium Radio Show, which is another show that predominantly showcases Mexican hip hop. That can be our hiphop.com at this point. You know, we have to just start making our own outlets and coming back as an equal instead of, you know, looking for acceptance. Why don't we build our foundation and come back as an equal that can't be denied, and then get our acceptance in what we're looking for? That's where I say that we need to do at this point.
I mean, it sounds like a plan, but I mean, keeping it real with you, man, I think that, you know, we're not in control of the culture anymore. You know, there's a lot of other forces that are promoting. They pick and choose who they promote. So while I may be Black, I'm not going to sit here and say that Mexican rappers come across my desk often. They don't come across my desk. They don't come across my Spotify. They don't come across my YouTube. They don't come across my video, my TV screen, no screen. So and you ask yourself why, though, when there's artists in Los Angeles that are Mexican and doing millions upon millions of views, just like the biggest Black rapper in LA. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, it's because the algorithms, and this is what people have to understand, is that everything now is algorithm based. So the discovery, you think you're trying to discover new music, but they look at you and they're like, okay, this guy, we know he's Mexican, we know he's from the 90s, we know he's from the West Coast, he's this, he's that. And then they take that, and then the next video you see on YouTube is the video that you might most likely like. Not to give you something new and fresh, but give you what you already kind of probably will like. And so for me, I'm being that I'm in a media position, I always try to keep my ear fresh. But because I'm a certain age, or because I listen to this type of music a little more, it gives me the same thing over and over. I've created aliases to just try to break the algorithm, just because it always serves up what you're already looking for. So I can't even certain young rappers, like say a NBA young boy or something or whatever, Lil Baby, they no matter how much I want to try to like those guys, I would have to listen to them all day and night to get my algorithm to switch. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And not for nothing, man. It's all money driven, man. So you could look at the type of hip hop. It all falls down like so. Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. Women are like, well, not just women, but everybody is like, well, where's the Lauryn Hill of now? Why can't we get that? Well, it's because a lot of it is being force fed to us. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of issues with the way we're getting the music. But back in I mean, of course, you already know, back in the day, there were a lot of Mexican rappers, Mellow Man, Ace, and so many guys. I don't know everyone's breakdown like Cypress Hill or whatever, but in terms of just broadly Latino, it was a lot more.
Yeah. There's actually a whole big movement right now. That's just I could sit here for about 20 minutes naming you the rappers in LA that are Mexican that are making a lot of noise, but that are only just making that noise underground. There's nobody there to support them or showcase them. So, when I do these interviews, I like to really shine light on that because in all honesty, like that's my journey right now. That's what I'm going for because I've been in this game for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I've only started really to receive my recognition the last 2 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's important for me to shine light on this because I understand the type of struggles that these artists are going through and the type of events that we're not being invited to. Like I always tell people, there's no BET for Mexican rappers. There's no MTV and everything like that. You know what I mean? So everything is by word of mouth. Everything is in the street. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important that even, this platform itself is giving me the opportunity to speak on this because you guys are a huge platform. So, I'm just somebody who's trying to, just spread the message because I believe in what I do. I believe in the music that I'm making and what other artists are doing as well. And I think that, we deserve the opportunity to be heard the way everybody else is being heard. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this. Who's your top 5 dead or alive Mexican rappers, the Mexican rapper edition? So we're not including Puerto Ricans, straight Mexican.
I would say GT Garza from Texas. If you get an opportunity, check him out. He's very dope. I'd say Frank V from Proper Dose. Mr. Criminal. We'll throw Criminal in there because he's very talented as well. King Little G. I'm pretty sure you know who he is.
Yep.
Who else? Cypress Hill.
Okay. Now wait a minute. Isn't Snow the product? Isn't she Mexican?
Yeah. But you know what? I no disrespect to Snow, but I don't listen to a lot of female rap.
Oh, come on, man.
Come on, real, man.
Oh, come on, man.
I don't want to be driving down the street. I'm bumping. Wet ass pussy. That look good for me.
Oh man. All right. I'm gonna let the internet handle this. No, I'm kidding.
They're gonna hate me for that, But I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Snow,
I don't think she's that type of artist, though. Honestly, I'm not a whole. She could spit. That's what I'm saying. She could spit.
No, she's super duper talented, bro. Like, and nobody can deny that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm more of a. I'll be real with y'all. I'm super. I still love East Coast hip hop to the fullest. You feel me?
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm very deep into that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So give me give me your top 5 like East Coast rappers that get love on the West Coast.
Damn, that's a hard one because everybody still loves Pac at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would say Jay-Z, probably, maybe Jay-Z.
Yeah.
The most Jay-Z, Nas, but I mean, it depends on what circle you're in. You know what I mean? Me personally, I would say my main influence is Nasir. You know what I mean? Always has been, and Prodigy from Mob. Those are my influences. There's nobody other than them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Jay and Nas are probably the most commercially successful and noticeable. You know what I'm saying?
Now talk about your crew a little bit and kind of your record label movement.
Shit, right now we're in a complete reconstruction of the label. You know, we started out trying to give a couple of artists opportunities. Things just didn't work out. You know, people wanted to go their own way or whatever. So, you know, right now it's basically just me.
Okay.
And I'm just, you know, I'm my house is clean at this point. You know, the old crew's pretty much, you know, with the exception of my brother Big Sick Nasty. You know, he's doing his family thing. So he kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
My other man, Andrew John, that rapped with me, he's kind of like the same. So right now I'm pretty much just standing on my own feet. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. Now your album, well, this current album, but your sound overall, I like it because, you know, I feel like I'm in LA. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm on the West Coast, and a lot of music now is just like you don't know where the people are coming from.
Yeah.
What makes you take that type of approach to your music?
Just being from the city, you know what I mean? Growing up there and just being proud of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wanting the rest of the country to hear what I got and know that the origins of it comes from LA, and so they can appreciate what LA sounds like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this is what LA sounds like, and this is how we live. You feel what I'm saying? At least from my perspective. So, you know, it's very important for me to still stay somewhat traditional but new at the same point, so it doesn't sound old, and just focus on the lyrical content and actually give a message. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt. Now, what I see on the top of your head, you have a tattoo. What's that? What's going on up there?
Oh, it says Devils.
Devils. What's that mean?
That's the clique of the neighborhood that I come from.
Oh, okay. Is that the gang you were in, or
it's a clique of the gang that I'm from, or that I was. Well, I don't want to say was from, because obviously you're a gang member forever, but you know, I'm a musician now, so I'm not necessarily living that life, but you know, yeah.
Okay. But you know, I noticed you talk about religion and God and spirituality on the album a little bit. You touch on that a little bit. How does your spiritual beliefs now resonate in the music?
You know, my mama's a born again Christian.
Okay.
And you know, I grew up watching my mom go through her struggles. So, you know, when she gave herself to the Lord and her life started to change, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, we can't make those changes without our Lord and Savior, you know, and all glory goes to the one true God. You feel me? And you know, you have to understand that at some point. You feel what I'm saying? And once you understand the part that God plays in your life and the things that God will reward you with by being obedient, you fall in line, so to speak. You know, like I said, my mama's a born again Christian. Christianity is not a religion; it's a way of life.
Right.
And you know, that's just what I was taught to. I was raised to believe in, and what I respect, because what I've seen come from it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, do you have any new music coming up?
Yeah, I'm actually getting in the studio tonight. I came out to San Diego.
Okay.
To just kind of get it like a different vibe.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm be sitting down with some producers tonight from Dago.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of you know, I just wanted to come to Dago just to get a different vibe, just something fresh, get away from the bullshit and hang out on the beach and just get a vibe. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm here.
The last time I was out there was for Comic-Con a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's beautiful in downtown Dago, man.
Yeah, definitely. Do you still have your clothing line?
Yes, sir. American Doughboy Apparel. Yeah. I'm revising it right now for the summer, so I'm gonna start putting out tank tops and t-shirts. But I took a break from it for about a year because as I was pushing it, it started to actually pick up some traction, and I just didn't have enough people to keep up with it. So I was kind of falling behind on it. So I had to just take a break from it and re-strategize. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so it's coming back.
Yeah. Well, it never really left.
Okay.
You know, we're just starting a new season, I guess you could say.
What made you call it American Dope Boy? Why not Mexican Dope? Like why American versus You know what? I'm just throwing that out at you.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I never told nobody this, but I got that one. Damn, I don't know. I don't know if I can get sued for this.
Give us the exclusive, man. You ain't gonna get sued. No way.
I got the idea from American Apparel.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? There was a big American Apparel factory in Los Angeles before they shut it down. Okay. And I remember passing by and seeing it real big. And then we were calling the project Dope Boy, and I was like, that'd be hard if we just called it American Dope Boy. Like it just has a ring to it. It's sick. You feel what I'm saying? And then that's how I created it. But the whole basis of the clothing line was just, I grew up like that. I grew up around hustlers. My whole life I grew up around crack dealers. Yeah. And whether that was a negative situation or not, a lot of things that I learned to be a man, I learned from these people. Yeah. And some people might not think that honor is a factor in a criminal life, but it really is. Yeah. So, there's just a lot of things that I learned as a kid to become a man from these type of people, and that type of lifestyle influenced my life to a certain extent. And it was just something that I could relate to, and a lot of people that listen to my music could relate to it as well. And that's why, I patented American Dope Boy.
Okay. And what's next for you? What's coming up? What's on deck?
I really wanted to just kind of fall back and do the label thing and do the management thing, but I don't think that's going to happen because, there's just a certain degree of entitlement that come with artists, and I'm starting to understand that. Like I was dealing with a certain artist that had no type of attention, and once we started to get them the attention, their whole demeanor and attitude just changed, and it became very hard to work with them because of the cockiness and all that. Right. And this shit just not for everybody, bro. You feel me? Yeah. Yeah. And it was something that I just had to really step back and really rethink because, if I manage an artist, I'm investing into that artist. I'm paying for the videos. I'm paying for the studio time. I'm creating the label setting for an artist. You feel me? Like if you get signed to my label, you're gonna have a label experience. We're gonna make a press run for you. We're gonna we'll wardrobe you up. We're gonna pay for your videos. We're gonna do everything that a label does. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, in this day and age, that's almost unheard of. So, for lack of better words, I just need to find the artist that's deserving of that treatment to really do that with, because I feel like the people that I have worked with in the past necessarily didn't deserve that type of treatment, and we're getting it. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever thought of acting? You give me actor vibes, man. You ever thought about that?
I tried one time. They gave me a script, but it was, the things that they wanted me to say, it just wasn't how I was. I just didn't come up like that. So it was a conflict of interest. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, what were they trying to get you to say?
It was like a heavy cholo movie, and they wanted me to say some racial shit. And it just wasn't that. It's never came out of me like that, so it was hard for me to even try to portray it. You feel what I'm saying?
Got you. So, all right, man. Well, look, man. I want to say, man, appreciate talking to you, man. I definitely, this won't be the last time. I'll leave it at that. And you gave me some food for thought, especially around the issue of Mexican artists on AllHipHop. I have a guy I like a lot named D Smoke, and he does a lot of he speaks Spanish in his raps a lot. Yeah. And he said that it's been incredibly positive for him to bridge those gaps, between the two communities. So hopefully, we can kind of work a little more actively to make that happen.
I think the biggest thing about it is just having the outlets behind us and making it more normal. Right now, like this interview is not the norm. Right. This is something that's different on your platform. I think it'll be more accepted the more it becomes normal. The more you see more people like me, the more it flushes through the pipeline, and it just becomes, everyday life. That's the biggest thing, is that I think people are not willing to take the chances on what we're doing. Yeah. And I always tell people, when this genre of music is properly, taken care of and fitted into the puzzle, the evaluations in it is in the multi of millions of dollars. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? It's just a matter of getting that right promotion, putting the artists where they need to be, and including them in all these big events that happen that for the most part, you know, when you have like these Rolling Louds and all that, most of the Mexican artists that are up there, they're paying to get there.
Yeah.
People don't know that.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Unless you're somebody like King Little G,
yeah.
You know, some the undercard, they're trying to make you pay for them slots.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And we're talking about Mexican artists that could have hundreds of thousands and millions of views, but they still got to pay $500 to perform.
Right.
You know, it's just, you know, and it's funny because when I went to the Revolt conference about 2 years ago, right? And they had a specific workshop on this matter. And it's funny because they had Snow the Product up there, they had Fat Joe, and they had Nori up there. And the main thing that they pressed in that workshop was how the Chicano or Latino community was the consumer of hip hop, and how to keep them as the consumer.
Interesting.
You know, and they had Fat Joe up there who actually got up and said, you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you. Until I was a teenager, I only identified with black people.
Right.
I never really paid attention to my Latin origins. So, you know, that made me think, this is the type of person that you put in front of us to identify with, but yeah, he doesn't identify with us himself. Right. and you're getting, and the message from him to us is that we're the consumer.
Right.
Interesting. You feel what I'm saying? So that has to be some level of oppression, in my opinion. You know, so this is food for thought, and this is just, and you know, and they treated Snow the Product very bad at that meeting as well, and she even spoke on it.
What did they do?
They wouldn't let her talk. You know, they kind of just looked at her like she was just a, you know, like an ornament, so to speak. You feel me? She just didn't have. She was just not getting the same type of respect that Fat Joe and Nori were getting. Got you. So you know that's where I think the biggest part and the biggest huge disconnect in this industry is that we're looked at as a consumer and not an equal. And in my opinion, that needs to stop, and it needs to stop soon.
Well, I can relate, man, because black people are definitely considered consumers by white folks. Period. So we gotta work. We got some work to do for sure. We got some work to do. Yeah.
Well, man, I definitely look forward to your time, man. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the platform.
Definitely, man.
Please have me again.
Yeah, of course, man. I gotta brush up on my politics, man. I haven't watched anything or nothing for about 6 months. So I gotta tighten up. So but nah, man, I appreciate your time, bro. Be safe out here, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you too, man, very much.
All right, definitely. Salute.
Yes, sir.